All right, good afternoon. Hi, welcome to Perilous Parallels. I'm Kraken. I'm playing Craigory, Danthew-Dovran, and here with me today is...
Hi, I'm RJ. I'm playing Decimal again.
yeah. So, warning off the bat for this is two people going into what's happened to them with heads or tails and events leading up to a new deal. So,
Yep.
I think just
Also,
off the bat, that puts us at medium to
yeah,
high.
yeah. These two are fucking morons. And their communication modes do not jive well.
They do
So,
not mesh.
uh, advance warning for miscommunication because I feel like that's gonna happen too. Um,
Almost definitely. Dear God. Yeah.
Craigory, fuck the fine points. I don't even get the blunt ones versus Decimal. If I have to be completely 100% honest, I would rather kill myself.
So, as you can see, it's gonna go great.
It's gonna be fine!
Oh. And navigating out of the gallery, because that's always a mistake for me. So, I think then we start with... We've established through previous stuff that both of them very definitely want to check in with the other and catch up, hearing what's been going on. But Craigory's actually... What's the phrase? I want to say jumped that bullet? Sure, fine. Craigory's gotten there first. And for actually leaving Halloween Town for the first time since having arrived, basically. Because now he has a handy-dandy new item to help him with that.
He do.
He do. Zoop, teleportation circle out of Halloween Town into Two Town, making his way to Hugh's apartment because he knows, he's been conspiring with Hugh, scheming, shall we say, and he knows the place will be empty other than Decimal. And, Decimal should know that it's also him arriving. That would help. He really would not want this to be a surprise, so, that being said, no, I'll just say Craigory knows has been told where a spare key is hiding, and he is opening up the front door,
Cool.
heading inside.
So I remembered to pre-roll Decimal's pain die today, so he's on a 5, which is pretty good. So the door opens. You want to roll me a quick perception check, Gregory?
Absolutely. We're off to a fantastic start.
Oh no.
That's a 4.
Oh no. Oh boy. Okay. Well, Decimal's on the couch. He is sure as hell on the couch. What the fuck do I give you for a 4? He has a stick. That's about all I can say. He's on the couch, he has a stick.
Which just means Craigory just keeps on walking.
Oh god, okay.
The door is opened. He has spotted the Decimal. He is closing the door. This is business as usual, about as far as he's concerned. And just walking in because he assumes he's being perceived and doesn't quite know what to say. How's that going?
I'm gonna make this site based so he doesn't have disadvantage. See if he can fucking figure out who the hell has just walked in. I'm gonna make this investigation. That makes sense. Fell off the table. Hold on. Oh shit, that's actually not that bad. That's actually pretty fucking good. One of them has good rolls today.
There we go.
So yeah, so you walk in, and you get maybe about halfway across the room. before Decimal, like, his entire time he's not been, like, facing toward you. His head kind of turns a little bit, kind of to position his ear better toward you. And you notice that his eyes are closed, and he goes, Craigory?
Yeah, it's me. Are the lights bad? He's looking around at the situation, because that's odd.
No. Did you really not notice?
Do you want Kraken to do another perception, or is he just gonna...
Yeah! Do another perception! This time an advantage, because you've been told there's something to look for.
God. Alright, well,
actually, roll investigation!
Already good. You know what? Yeah, we'll do investigation. He's got a modifier in that.
You might actually get things.
Well, a 22 is way better.
Fantastic! There are two fuck-off giant scars bisecting Decimal's face, bisecting his eyes, and his eyes are closed. I think you are smart enough to put two and two together here, Craigory.
Yeah! Which means, he's just gonna roll a performance real quick. And get a 6.
I'm not even gonna bother rolling insight. His passive insight's like fucking 19.
Yeah.
22.
Yeah, Decimal can hear the moment Craigory, clocks that, puts some pieces in, and just... Oh. Okay, huge... Alright. Okay. You did mention there was a rough time going on in Faruma.
Is that really how... No. Okay, fine. That's how we're doing this. Yes, it could have been classified as a rough time.
It just seems a little stupid to ask if you're all right. But also, are you?
Well... and like, there's a distinct silence. I don't know if Craigory would pick up at this because he's a fucking idiot, but for the viewers, Decimal is like fighting himself to get some words out. Here we have the first of the non-meshing of the communication methods.
Yeah, it's only an 11 insight.
11. I mean, you can tell that there's a reason for the silence that isn't just necessarily obstinate or fucking jackassery, but you don't know what it is. There's like a moment's pause where Decimal fights against himself to figure out the words, and then just goes, I've been better. But I've also been worse, so the pain today isn't as bad as it could be.
I see. Okay. Is there anywhere I could sit down?
Oh, just come fucking sit on the couch. He'll shuffle over.
Fair enough.
Moves the stick. Then as you get closer, you notice it's a walking stick, rather than just like a random fucking quarterstaff or whatever.
Uh-huh. Craigory is gathering pieces, and he also, now that he knows Decimal can't really fucking see, is very definitely telegraphing his steps and movement across the room. It's only a short space to go, but he does it. Like, almost heavy steps, is brushing against things that are in the room, basically giving an orientation of where he is. And then is going to sit down on that couch, but leave, I don't know how big this thing is, healthy enough space.
I assume it's probably a 3-seater, so they can sit on opposite ends, leave a cushion in between them.
Yeah.
Fucking, there's a look on Decimal's face that is the cross between, oh, you're so fucking cute, and Jesus fucking Christ, stop it. And he just kind of goes, you don't need to do that, I can hear you perfectly fine.
Still, I know it's something I would appreciate, so there's no harm.
Well, I can't even really object to that. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get a full story from Hugh at all, as I shouldn't have, because this is your whole thing, but it's good to see you're doing better than you have been, apparently.
You know what? Fuck it. I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours.
Oh?
I talked to Lynn. I know you've had a time of it as well. I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours.
If you're sure.
You're only going to continue walking on eggshells around me, and quite frankly, that is the most annoying thing I've ever experienced, so... If that's what it takes to get you to stop, then so be it.
Well, all right, excuse me for attempting tact and subtlety, I suppose.
You're not very good at it. I just realized how mean that sounded. That wasn't...
I know I'm not good at it. It's fine. But, alright, then fine. Yeah, sure. I guess me first?
If you'd like.
Okay, well, you remember that whole thing where I said I had a family matter handled? It, turns out wasn't handled.
Well, that's my deal.
Yeah, no, oh god, there's context that goes into this, and there's a shuffling as Craigory kind of leans back against the couch. Whoa. Where to start? I guess the beginning of the whole mess is my Henrik Danthew's thing is cloning themselves mostly. You know, presented it as an efficiency thing, but also very egotistical, to be honest. But the way they first figured out how to do it was it's slow. You know, the clone had to grow up, right? Not exactly instant rewards. So when they made a deal with the Thrall to figure out how to address that problem, the price was giving up their original project. Craigory starts to do like sardonic jazz hands, but then stops when he realizes Decimal can't see it.
I feel like he can feel the slight breeze coming from the sardonic jazz hands, and will appreciate as far as he can the attempt at showmanship. I see.
Yeah, that was fun to find out, but I'll explain a few things. This happened when I was, 10 years ago, so I guess we should be happy. The thrall isn't in the business of trading in children, so yay. Anyway, fast forward 10 years again, Henrik shows up again, and I get to find out at least about the cloned things, and they're trying to, I don't know, connect? Not even make amends, because they never apologized at all, just, showed up and acted like I would be happy to see them. Willing to go along with whatever they said.
Likely a ploy to get your trust, so... Well.
Yeah, in hindsight, very definitely that, because they didn't even come to me first. They tried to make good with Boomer.
They did what?
Yeah. They got Boomer on her own, pretended to be me, and just tried to get her favor that way because, oh, gee, if I was going to be mad, how could I be if my kid loved them? She didn't. I have never seen her not take to anybody like that. It did not work.
Roll insight for me really quick, at advantage. You're just gonna have advantage this entire time because Decimal is trying not to bottle up his shit because he knows that you couldn't see the broad side of a bar and it was trying to talk to you.
The point whistles over his head.
Yeah.
Alright, well, oh shit, well, good.
Yo.
Good. The advantage was an at 20.
Hey, we take that. Cool. People targeting children, very big trigger. Very big trigger.
Yikes.
People trying to get in good with a child to get them to do a specific thing. That's
something. That's personal.
Yep. There is you've seen Decimal angry. You've seen him pissed off. You've never quite seen him this apoplectic.
Craigory's almost leaning away. He's like, holy shit.
Yeah. To Decimal's defense, he does do his best to keep a lid on it and let you continue with your story.
And Craigory is quick to add on, they didn't really pay her any mind when it didn't work. They left her alone, thank God. As far as I know, they never tried anything with her again. Because it didn't work. But it, was the opposite effect of what they intended.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so kept trying though. When they realized I was not going to be happy to see them, they tried a sort of, I don't know what you'd call it, research attempt, just trying to involve me on what they were doing, which was the whole clone thing, which I didn't know about, which was, not fun to find out for Pip or I. And not even that was enough because I took Pip with me. I didn't go to meet them alone.
Smart.
Yeah, which I had told you they tracked me down on my own anyway when I did that. Yeah. That was the whole breaking and entering incident.
Mm-hmm.
which was the point where, kick them out. On no uncertain terms, go away. If I ever saw them again, it'd be on site. Stay away from me, stay away from everyone. And I thought that was that. They didn't seem to show up again. You figured out they just wanted to get in my good graces, so rather than me just gladly following them into the woods, they had to ambush me instead. And drag me out to complete that deal with Thrall. So that's how that started. And that was kind of that as far as they were concerned. I think they that whole clone thing going on. If you think I've been reckless, then I don't know what you'd call them, because their body wasn't necessarily doing so hot and mine was working better, so they just took it. Soul swap thing, magic jar, something like that. They stole me and dumped me in something that's closer to Muppet born than Toonkind in some ways, and stared down the Thrall enough that they just let them.
Well, that doesn't sound anything like the Thrall I've heard of. But, well, there had to be some kind of ulterior motive going on there.
There was. I think it was... I got the impression over the time it was kind of more Thrall figured that they'd get their due in time. Let this wizard go be silly and just collect with interest later.
Well, given that you're here and you're you, I'd imagine that they got their wish.
Yep. Exactly. So... and just, a person has to wonder, why would someone like the Thrall want just, a whole person? This is a whole person they're dealing with here. What's the use for that?
I can think of a number of uses, but go on.
Well, I mean, the reality, for the most part, just turned out to be glorified assistant under Geas, but...
I'll admit that was better than I was expecting.
See, exactly. The for the most part, just kind of assistant, organize, bodyguard. Mostly the scary thing was just it was all out of my control and no one knew where I was. I didn't know when or if I'd be getting out of that. If I could rely on anyone to, necessarily.
You could.
I mean, I knew logically Pip would never stand for it, or Lynn. And they did come once they knew where to go and what was wrong, but...
Well, yes, those two. Kind of shakes his head slightly, motions for you to carry on.
Can Craigory roll insight on that?
Sure, yeah, go for it.
Alright, well, we'll take that 16.
So, he said, well, yes, those two. Like he's implying someone else would have come.
Craigory kind of pauses in the story and squints at him. Well, I mean, probably Hugh also, but if my understanding of the timeline is correct, he and Gray and March were going after you.
Yes, that was rather unfortunate. That's not what I meant.
Okay. Is there someone I'm missing?
There's a moment where his jaw works.
Teeth grinding.
Yeah. Fucking...
If Decimal doesn't answer, Craigory's just gonna kind of blink and squint and go, I mean, sure, if people knew what was going on, probably more, but just... I don't know.
What a fucking roll. What the fuck could this be? Wisdom? Charisma? What kind of save is this? See if you can fucking get the words out. It's the same modifier either way, fuck it. Decimal, you secondary piece of shit! It's a nat 1!
Oh my fucking god.
He just kind of, like, jaw works for a moment and then just shakes his head and gestures for Craigory to continue.
This whole clusterfuck's been going on long enough that I'm gonna make one last insight to see if Craigory...
Sure.
Well, the first is a 2.
Oh no.
11.
I don't know if
God.
that's enough. I don't know if that's enough.
It's...
Hang on, let me roll an anti-persuasion. Fucking... We'll do it from 30, because the persuasion modifier is kind of high. I don't know why I rolled for that. Anti-persuasion, fucking... Anti-persuasion, 10, I guess that would mean the result is. if it's from 30. So, yeah, okay, yeah, so...
End result, Craigory is just like, I don't know what this is, but I guess I'm just gonna have to table it for now.
There's admittedly this makes sense given Craigory's whole thing. There's a brief moment where Craigory, in all his shitting wisdom, is able to put two and two together and realize, is Decimal talking about himself? Nah, there's no way.
Craigory, that sounds like a wrong answer.
Fuck's sakes.
I may not know Decima well, but I know Decima well enough to know that that's not correct.
God damn it.
So there's just a silent shake of the head, and he's gonna continue.
Oh, moi.
Oh. This is pretty much exactly what I thought was gonna happen, and dear God.
Fuck's sakes. One of these days you'll spit it out. I swear to fucking God. But until then.
Yeah, so mostly when it was not terrifying, it was pretty boring, but I'd mostly spent a lot of it finding loopholes in their phrasing, and trying to keep any loopholes I found, secret, because otherwise the leash just kept getting shorter and shorter. Any indulgence they had, thinner.
There's a firm nod like, yep, that's exactly what I expected. Good job.
So, and not all of it subtle, sometimes just anything I could do to be able to do something. You shatter an ancient urn that's probably cursed and full of ghosts against the wall, and order's amended and you get punished, That was about the extent of that for a long time. But things did get weird when they started just asking questions. Not unlike Henrik in hindsight, just trying to figure out if I had anything interesting to share with the class at all that they could steal before they passed me off. But, just anything esoteric this lowly wizard might have for the Thrall's Grand Archive, which, for the record, they didn't really focus or ask much on you. So,
well, I imagine not.
No, the funny thing is I thought they would have, considering the whole Fate of Ruin incident. I thought that was what they were going to get stuck on, but it wasn't actually. That daughter made of jello I have that's all grown up and running around doing her own thing?
I do.
That turned out to be a thaumovore, and they are very interested in that.
What's your Arcana? Your Arcana is a +3. Do you know what the fuck a thaumovore is? No, you do not. 13. He has no idea what the fuck that is.
And Craigory tell Decimal has no idea. Where's Decimal nodding
you get
like
an
he gets
eyebrow
it.
raise and you get an eyebrow raise and a thaumovore. So I think it's pretty fucking obvious.
There we go. Best summed up as a magic eater. Supposed to be largely myth. But,
you would make one in your fucking strange hut in the woods, wouldn't you?
I mean, apparently. I didn't know. It didn't occur to me that managing... I didn't think I had the ability or the means to make something that was supposed to be only myth. Which, I told them. But,
So basically you have no idea how you did it. How did they take that?
Not well. And I still don't know, because I am continuing to very much try not to have any epiphanies on that.
Fair enough. Can't have someone take the knowledge from you if you don't have the knowledge yourself.
Exactly. that didn't make them happy. But was what it was, so instead they started asking anything else they could think of under the sun. Methods, conditions, who was there for any incidents ever. Just being very thorough. Which, you remember that one? You weren't... you mostly just came in the aftermath when everything had already caught fire and exploded. But that one vendor from the mall, Foulardi, that guy.
History check. Do you remember? Yes, you do. Okay.
God, I was so ready for Decima to be like, oops, the fuck.
He pauses a moment and then nods. Jesse, for you to go on.
We had been researching into that whole thing together, so when Thrall figured that out, they didn't... I mean, they probably started making plans to go after them, but they didn't actually act on it until I managed to find a way to be unsupervised in their archive, go over to any and all information they have on the Humivores, and start destroying it all.
Well, that was incredibly reckless of you.
But necessary,
I'd suppose
I
a
think.
more... Yes, a more moral person than I would call heroic. I would just call it stupid.
You're still going to think it's stupid when you realize what Thrall wants a Thaumaviore for is it still continues to sound very stupid whenever I say it out loud, but kill a god?
There is a distinct pause, and then Decimal slowly turns to look at you. His eyes actually open. You can see that they, don't focus very well. They're, attempting to focus on your face, but not quite making it. And he just goes, "What?"
Yeah, specifically Erasure, which is even more wild. Yeah, you know, just get rid of one of the pillars that's holding this whole continent up, or however that works. No, I didn't and still don't want to find out what would happen if that's even possible, so, burn everything is the course of action.
It was still incredibly stupid of you, but it was a little more. I can see why it would be necessary now.
Man. Not that stupid. I'm still alive, aren't I?
Only because I imagine they had better ways to punish you than death.
Or something they wanted more. Point is, that's part of that said punishment. That's when they decided to go actually harass Fu.
The fact you say harass and not another verb means, well, leads me to believe that particular side character made it out alive, which is surprising to me.
Yeah, no, he's still good. He's, well, if he knows what's good for him, he's still taking that shelter in Halloween Town and not sleeping where he was. Point is, that's what helped, one of the things that helped blow the whistle and alert Lynn as to what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Which got that ball rolling. That, and I was able to respond to a message from Pip And I had been throwing ink into the ocean. Just to, see if that would get anything at all.
Notify Lucille?
Yeah, actually. Exactly. You know Lucille?
We met semi-recently. To help you with something, but that's... I can talk about that later. Carry on.
Fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, that all coalesced. People came. Thrall set down Henrik Danthew in exchange for Craigory Danthew, sent them off on their merry delivery quest. And when they, Thrall's a lot of things, but they're not a liar, so I knew it seemed like the end was in sight. And I'm trying to think of what Decimo would roll for this, because it seems like it'd be kind of sight-based, but perception, Decimo?
I mean, if it's sight-based, he just rolls at disadvantage.
Yeah, fair enough.
So perception, you said?
Yeah.
Well. Well. 14! Thank God for his stupid modifier, but...
God, plus 12. Jesus Christ. Are Decimo's eyes still open from when he'd opened them? Or is he just hearing? Okay. The presumably blurry blob that is Craigory nearby had been sitting more upright before, but has now curled in on himself more, and it's tough to make out details at all. But also on the hearing range, his voice has gone tighter. A bit like this is getting hard, but a bit also like something is distracting him a bit.
What is it?
What? What's what?
Something is wrong, I can tell. I'm blind, not stupid.
I mean, I suppose we're getting to the close, but it's during that interim between deal set and deal completion with Lynn and Pip and Fu, they Thrall knew they had limited time left with me, so one of the first things they did was marked me for a warlock pact. And it's gotten better because, again, this is a blob, no details, but there's like a shuffle and a sort of ting as presumably a finger has flicked something kind of metallic. Mayor Macabre made me an amulet of proof against detection and location, which helps, but they have a really annoying sense of when I'm talking about them, and they are trying to see what that's about.
Didn't you say so soon, you fucking idiot?
The whole point of the amulet is that it lets me, and it also means that people aren't running around casting private sanctums everywhere I have to go. This is actually the first time I've left Halloween Town for basically that reason. Because they hate that place a whole lot. but they also won't go there. Anyway, point is, it's not much. It's fine.
You say that, but you have this. I can't even call it annoying because I did the same damn thing. You have this habit of ignoring when something is painful or upsetting to you.
No, compared to a lot of things, this is not painful.
Very well, carry on. Or if there is that everything.
I mean, outside of a few details just about, Henrik somehow managed to get super darkness corrupted in the meantime. I don't exactly know how they managed that. They just arrived like that, carrying a whole demon or whatever it is in them.
A force. Not a demon.
Force of nature, sure.
Decimal has reached up, one hand covering his eyes.
Well, that are you familiar?
Would explain why Lynn has experience with it. Stars down.
Yeah. But that all followed them. So when, I got swapped back into me, it didn't stick. One good thing to happen out of everything. But, we can say they didn't go back to a very functioning or happy body. And that was about that. Bundled me to Halloween Town and just been dealing with fallout from there. I think that about covers me.
Circle back a moment. You said they marked you for a warlock pack.
Yes. Oh, that wasn't supposed to be. Point is, Craigory got a 4 on deception here.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, I'm not even gonna bother making Decimal roll. He literally cannot roll that low.
Yeah. Craigory has largely kind of frozen up here. End of the story, hooray, that's it, that's done. It's done, right? Totally done. But Decimal circling back. And he can't hide a literal tremor in his voice. When he goes, what about it?
A pact, by definition, is transactional. I'm going to assume you didn't choose dues of your own free will, but what are they getting out of it?
They're able to, they have been, when I'm not wearing the amulet, kind of able to divine, scry through it, see and hear what I see. I have to assume, which is useful when I got taken straight to a place that they can't go into.
So they'll be using you as a plant.
Yeah. A plant. There was some suggestibility going on for a bit as well. I could have very easily fireballed the mayor there. That was not fun. But a plant, they just, as a general motivation, they want to know more, collect more, maybe anything that I get into is beneficial, but also just, I mean, their wording was keep an eye on me. I still don't know how I managed to do what I did with Gelosity. So if I ever do find out, they would want to know that immediately.
Mm.
So, hence why I'm just very much not investigating further, not thinking about it. Very glad to let sleeping dogs lie on that one. If it just doesn't get figured out, then they can't make their own, certainly.
I don't think that's going to stop them. But it'll be enough to slow them down, for sure.
Exactly. Anything I can do on that front.
Well, I suppose I have to congratulate you on becoming a member of a club that I really didn't want anyone else to be part of.
Oh? Which club's that?
Well, I'm not a warlock, but I am a pawn to someone else's game, so... Welcome to the I made a deal with a thing under duress, and now I can't get out of it club.
Oh, I hate that. Okay. Yikes. There is...
You see now why I didn't want anyone else to be joining? We have snacks, but, like, that's the only benefit.
Just about, and I wouldn't really... Yeah, all right, let's keep the member count at 2.
Let's aim to.
And there's a shift and shuffle as Craigory's shifting to face Decimal more fully. Yeah, that's about my story. Anything that... A lot of stuff that happened just got left behind, which I'm thankful about. Means I can move on in a sense. Don't have to carry scars, which you weren't lucky enough to...
You don't have to carry physical scars. You should not underestimate the damage that things like that can do to your psyche.
So long as... Well, you know, saying it out loud is a bit insensitive, but so long as no one can tell, then I'm happy. And he's kind of wincing as he says it. Just looking at Decimal's everything.
Craigory, I said it before, and I've still not thought of a better way to word it, but I'll say it again. You suck at tact and subtlety. You can't really act to save your life. You can't lie to save your life either, if I'm being honest.
Not my own, no.
Alright, I'll give you that one. But, if you're hoping for no one can tell, the best way to deal with it is to deal with it, not repress it. Granted, that can also backfire. That's why I'm makes a vague gesture at his everything. But
Is this... I mean, I guess it's your turn, but, you had mentioned a trip the last time I saw you, I think. Is that related?
yes, I really should have. You know, in hindsight, I really should have been paying attention better. Things kept coming up. They kept getting in the way of me taking that trip, and I was just annoyed about it. I really should have seen the signs. I call you oblivious.
You can't be aware of everything all the time.
Oh, how I wish I had your optimism. And as he says that, you realize every little sound that's been made as the apartment settles or as things move outside, he's been reacting to all of those. Subtly, slightly, but he's been perceiving, analyzing, and then dismissing it as not a threat or not something he needs to focus on. AKA, this is how Craigory finds out that Decimal's passive perception is not 27.
God.
Yeah, so he pauses after saying that. Takes a moment to get his words back together, and by this point he's closed his eyes and is facing forward again, so facing like 90 degrees away from you. And he hesitates because he doesn't actually know where to start because it's such an involved story. It's basically the story of his life. At least with Craigory shit, Craigory had the advantage of Decimal already knew some of this.
Yeah.
Not so much, and it's entirely all Decimal's fault.
Decimal refused to share, and now it's biting him.
Yeah. So he pauses, hesitates, and then goes, "This is related, but I have to tell you a story first."
All right.
Waits for a response.
Craigory had nodded, remembered, like, no, we can't see you, dipshit. Says, all right. And then just, there's a sound of him basically settling in for story time.
Alright. Once upon a time, as cliched as that start is, there was a town, a city in Firuma, and that city, it had two faces. There was the face that the pigeons saw, and there was a face that the rats saw. And there was a little boy who saw both. The little boy's... No, actually, he wouldn't have had a name at that point. But he saw both sides of the city. The shiny veneer presented to the tourists to suck all of their coin from them. And the dirty underneath. In the shadows, the dark things hide. And the boy, very good eyes, but the boy was a boy, and he was naive and a fool. He had formed on the streets a tune, a rarity in this town, and he was incredibly gifted. He could read situations, could read people, could spot things that no one else could, and he had a particular skill with the sleight of hand. And one day, a man came, called himself Lucian Smirch, said that he ran a casino near the docks called the Viridian Garden. And he made an offer to the boy. No roof over his head, food in his belly. All he had to do was sign a contract. And the boy couldn't read. And the boy had gotten so used to being able to see through things that he didn't realize he was being lied to. So, naively, trustingly, he signed the dotted line and was given a name. And that name was Raga. Now, what Raga didn't realize is that he'd just signed an indenture contract. Two words for it, but he had just given himself into slavery, more or less. So he performed, he dealt cards at the tables, he entertained people, and when he screwed up or made mistakes, he was punished accordingly. And he kind of, there's a little bitter, rueful smirk on his face, and he goes, Lucian has a fondness for acetone.
Oh.
Never enough to melt, never enough to permanently harm, but enough to be a reminder.
It doesn't take much.
No, it doesn't. He also had a fondness for razor blades. Because the boy's hands were very clever, and he could deal very quickly. So sometimes he would deal razor blades instead. If he'd been slow, if he'd been less than satisfactory performing. Those left more permanent marks.
I see.
11 years. 11 years was how long he was there. Until one night he decided to. And he slipped out, went to the docks, and threw himself into the harbor. He didn't intend to survive, and he didn't. I killed him and took his place.
Craigory said,
And I called it.
Tilts to the side at that wording.
For you see, there's something had plucked him out of the water and took him to another plane of existence, and it made him a deal. He didn't understand that deal either, but he was so desperate. And he was still drowning. So he said yes. So, as I said, I killed him and took his place. I called out the harbor and I left. I didn't look back for the better part of 7 years. Until one day I decided I was tired of running. My intent was to go back to Viridian Garden and confront Lucian. Saying it like that, it sounds so flimsy. I didn't really have a plan. Any plan I would have had had been mute anyway. I was on my way to the harbour to catch the ferry when I was ambushed by the thrall.
What? Thrall? When was this?
You mentioned the timeline earlier. I suspect, although I have no way of really proving it, I suspect that it was a day, maybe two, before you were taken.
I mean, oh. Again, weird and maybe not the greatest to say, but maybe it's better it worked out that way. Because,
Almost certainly.
like I said, I was a bit of everything. They probably would have roped me in.
I almost made it out. Surprisingly to everything, they almost didn't get me. They tried using magic at first. I saw them coming, so I cut into an alleyway. They followed me, and I started running. They tried to use magic to hold me in place. It failed. They had to resort to a set of iron bands of binding, then called it. And even then, I will never achieve anything so proud as to detonate a fireball on myself and take no damage from it while being restrained by those bands. That was my peak. And I don't think I'll ever be able to achieve anything like that again. One hand kind of drifts to ghost over his left thigh. You're not quite sure of the meaning behind that gesture yet, because his thigh is covered by his coat. But
well, considering the state of his face, Craigory can make some guesses that the leg is not as it used to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, almost isn't enough. They caught me, and turns out it's a very small world. Lucian was the head of a rather large smuggling ring, using the casino to front. They were business partners.
Of course they
Something
were.
I didn't find out until he walked in. I was taken to the casino and kept there for 3 weeks. I suppose I do have one advantage over you. I don't actually remember a lot of what happened.
Good. Good. That's good, because,
I'd rather know, honestly.
I would rather not know. Thrall didn't believe in anesthesia.
It's not because of anesthesia that I've forgotten. I'll tell you that for nothing. One of the things I do remember is pain. But it is disconcerting to have that hole in my memory.
I mean, I might
Anyway.
get it a little. I remember most. there is one blank section, and not knowing what they might have done while I was unconscious is terrifying.
You understand?
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah.
He takes a moment to just breathe and center himself.
Mm-hmm. But you weren't there forever.
No. As you said, at the same time that you were being rescued, so was I. A preface. On the boat ride over, Lucian, and he stops talking because he can't get it out. The words have left him, and he is fumbling. And he just kind of makes a useless gesture and then moves his coat off of his thigh, and it is melted.
Oh. Big hissing intake of breath from Craigory. And he actually leans closer to get a look before having to physically stop himself. Just because that... I see what you mean about liking acetone. That... Well, I'll admit it could be worse, but for still keeping the leg, not much worse.
Could have been far worse. It could have been full dip. I was very lucky.
Some luck.
Well, I'm still alive, aren't I? Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to keep me from running away. And then he had to teach me a lesson. His words, not mine. He had to teach me a lesson. So, gestures at his eyes, and then reaches behind his neck, and undoes the clasp on the choker, takes it off, and reveals a gnarly looking scar across his throat.
More audible wincing from Craigory because, between Decimal's perception and Craigory's, improved a bit, but still not great deceptions. And how was this all near the beginning? How long did he just leave you like that?
I don't know.
Fair.
I don't
Fair.
know when exactly he did all this. The leg was right at the start, but everything else.
Fair.
But yes, Hugh told me that Death, Rosetta, had told him that something was wrong and he needed to come find me. And Gray mentioned peace.
Oh, so now the fates step in. What, 3 weeks into this?
You have to remember, they're not deities. We're not deities. We are still mortal. And the weave doesn't tell us everything. The weave doesn't even tell us a lot. I still don't know why it couldn't fully heal me.
Last I talked to you about this, sounds like you have some new information about all that. You hadn't included yourself among their number, really.
I don't really have a choice in the matter anymore. I can show you, but not here. Too much damage. Potential for damage. I mean, I don't want to wreck the apartment.
Interesting. All right. But, maybe later.
Certainly. Yes, so Hugh and Marge and Gray came and they picked someone up along the way. I'm still not entirely sure how they fit in. I believe they were looking for their sister. Lucian's right-hand woman. But they came. They had advanced warning. Lucian had advanced warning. I think he had someone at the docks watching. He stuffed me into a force cage on the side of his balcony. And we waited.
I hate those.
Yes, it wasn't pleasant. I didn't know what was going on. Put me in a force cage, put a ring on my finger. And we waited. I waited. They talked briefly in his office, I think. And then they came out. There was a fight, as I'm sure you can imagine. The ring, I think, transferred some of the damage that Lucia was taking to me. He vastly underestimated Hugh and March and Gray. There's a little proud smirk on his face.
I imagine
He could
so.
tell.
Yeah.
He could tell when the tide was turning. So he shot me in the face with an eldritch blast and shoved me into the harbor. The weave found me again. That was when it mostly healed me. I managed to fix my throat, but couldn't fix my eyes or my legs. I crawled out of the harbor again, with some help from one of Gray's animal friends. Made my way around to the front door, and he was there, and I reacted. I pulled out my dagger. I pulled out this dagger. Reaches into his jacket, pulls out a curious looking dagger. Holds it up for you to see. And it looks like a regular dagger, but there is a name engraved on the pommel. Rezer.
Well, at the offer, Craigory's leaning in to look, yeah.
Now, he'll hold that up for you to take.
Oh. All right. Craigory will.
Yeah, so it's a regular dagger. There's a name engraved in the pommel. And before he lets go of it, Decimal says the name Rezer, and the blade begins to glow slightly.
Huh.
So I reacted by pulling out that dagger and throwing it at him.
Good.
It hit him between the eyes, and I don't remember what happened after.
So we don't have to worry about him anymore.
No. He is definitively very dead. I now have 2 murders under my belt.
Well, I think this one can definitely be justified and defended in court. But at least it means the chapter's closed, yeah? It's over?
So I hope. I am going back to Faruma with Hugh at some point to burn down the building. By this point, all the indentures would have left. The gas on the studs breaks when the contracts are destroyed. I'm hoping that burning down the building will destroy the contracts, because there's no way in hell you'd leave them out for people to find.
Well, I'd been about to question you going back at all, but that's a good reason.
As he mentions studs, his ear's been facing you this entire time, and you notice normally he has 2 sets of ear piercings. One in the center of the lobe and one slightly higher up. The one in the center of the lobe is gone, and the hole is starting to close over, like it's been gone for a few weeks.
Well, Craigory will connect those dots, but also blurt out, you kept those the whole time?
I couldn't take them out. Lean in a little bit. I'm aware it's hard to see, but and he does carefully point out around the closed over hole, or the closing over hole, there's a little starburst scar pattern. That's you know what Gears does. That's the remnant. One of the causes was trying to take them out.
Yeah, I am definitely familiar with Geas damage. I guess I should be lucky then it wasn't centered in an object, it was just cast on. I don't think I'd want to know what the body's neck would have looked like if it was centered in the collar. Which he very much is not mentioned. Now that I realize.
There's a very distinct pause before Decimal goes, I'm sorry, did you say collar?
Yeah. There was a collar. Not tied with the Geas, but similarly also couldn't take it off. There was no latch or anything. Magical in other ways, but not in Geas. And Craigory's leaned in closer at Decimal's invitation to get a look at the ears. So I think Decimal could, within the blurry form, there is a, like, splotch of color on Craigory's form that normally isn't there, and it is, yeah, at the neck. Some kind of cloth or accessory is going on there.
Is that the reason for... And you'll, like, gently gesture at the blob of color.
Yeah, you'd think I wouldn't want anything there after that, but it was actually the absence of anything to fiddle with was driving me nuts. It was driving me nuts. So, pull a pip, do a bandana. It actually helps.
Yeah, fair. Understandable. It's actually that makes him realize he hasn't put his choker back on, so he'll do that really quick. In this close, because he would have had to turn to see the necklace slightly, see the bandana slightly. Craigory, by this point, you are intimately familiar with precision damage. You can tell the scars on Decimal's eyes are very deliberate and very deep. These should have destroyed his eyes beyond any form of use. But he can still kind of see. Divine intervention, baby.
Divine intervention. So, there was really nothing else the Fates could do about the eyes and leg? Nothing at all?
He seemed to imply it was because of the darkness.
I'm sorry, the what? When did
Do you remember?
darkness enter this?
Do you remember the last time we spoke? I was wearing a particular set of armor.
Yes.
The where and how of how I got that armor is a long story I've no wish to go into today, but the armor itself was cursed. When I put it on, I couldn't take it off, and it, well, it allowed a root for the darkness to speak to me, and slowly begin corrupting me.
Okay, hate that a lot. Is that still a problem?
No. When Hugh rescued me, it had corrupted me to the point where my eyes were completely gold, but we spoke to the mayor's husband, Scuppy's Ash. He was able to sort that out with the help of the headmaster of the school for necromancy.
Oh, Ro?
Yes.
Yeah, they're both good at what they do.
Duke Rowe now has the vest, and Asclepius was able to purge the darkness from me. Wasn't fun, I'll tell you that. Try not to get corrupted if you can.
So I should be extra glad I dodged the whole darkness bullet from Henrik. All right.
Oh, certainly.
Because, I'll tell you this, their eyes weren't just gold. I don't know all the stages, but I have to imagine it was extremely advanced.
In all likelihood.
They weren't themselves a lot of the time, from the sounds of it.
Well, it never gets that far from me, but Damn. In hindsight, that makes a lot of sense.
Oh? Were you not being yourself?
Since the start, when it first began to speak to me, I was angry. Angrier than usual. Anger clouds your thoughts. It makes you do stupid things. No wonder I didn't see. Such a fucking...
I mean, you didn't know. As you said, your judgment would have been clouded. It did seem like anger was the trigger for the Henriks as well.
Pain, too. I wasn't that corrupted when I left. When I came back, my eyes were gold.
Mm-mm.
I think it just takes moments of weakness, moments where you don't have control.
Well, I'm glad that's been dealt with for you. That I'm sure it's a load off Hugh's mind as well.
Mm. I'm rolling this at advantage.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that works. That was a "are you gonna bring this up" roll. The answer is yes.
Hee-hoo.
When I woke up in the hotel room afterward, I would have expected to see you there. Or I did expect to see you there.
Oh. I mean, I would have come if I could have, definitely. I think it's fair to say Decimal can hear that Craigory's kind of flattered. It's like, huh.
You are not getting my meaning. I expected Hugh. To an extent, I expected March. I wouldn't have expected Lynn to come. I definitely didn't expect Gray.
But you expected me.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry I wasn't there.
he by this point he has his head in his hands.
Well, how's this? Craigory got a 16 insight.
You can tell he's definitely talking around the point he wants to make. He mentioned earlier that you definitely would have had someone to come for you that wasn't Pip or Lynn or Hugh or March. And he just said he would have expected you to come for him. Can he put 2 and 2 together, Kraken?
I feel like arguably 16 can do it.
Thank you!
We'll be kind and not torture Decimal much any further on this. It still takes a moment if Craigory can be like, no, I think I'm getting the point perfectly fine. What's the thing? I would have been there. But then I think Decimal can pinpoint the exact point a certain pin drops. And Craig goes, I wouldn't have expected you. To be honest.
I could tell, believe it or not.
Not because I don't. You're fine, you're good. I just didn't think you cared.
You did not take no for an answer, and pulled March along with him. And he's struggling to get the words out. I'll roll with the 16. There's a hint of he genuinely just doesn't know how to say this. He doesn't have the experience to have the words necessary straight to hand. He can't articulate the reasons why he has found that he cares about Craigory and found that he trusts Craigory.
I mean, I don't know when or how you came to or decided to, but it does mean something. It does mean a lot to know, I guess. That I guess we can rely on each other. To be honest, I mean, if you had been along, I wouldn't necessarily have been surprised to see you get tagged along too. Bit of a match set, or match trio even, where Hugh goes, you or March will be. That's kind of how it works.
On the one hand, I hate that it becomes so predictable. On the other hand, thank you, I think.
Look, I'm trying. I don't know. This is as new to me as it is for you, I think. In some ways. But, thank you for giving a shit.
You're welcome.
And if you need something or someone to talk to, or just, if you need something and I would be able to help, then that's it's on the table. Yeah.
Well, this is less something that I need from you and more something I can do for you, but I do believe I promised to show you something. So let's head outside really quick for that.
All right. Craigory can't hide that, like, he's interested in this. Because this sounds, new powers, new abilities, what's going on here? Yeah, absolutely. Craigory will stand up and not offer Decimal a hand, but just hang back to see if anything is needed.
Yeah. He takes Kane on one hand, grabs the arm of the couch in the other, manages to lever himself up without much issue. You get the feeling he's had a lot of practice at this. Takes a moment to steady himself and then starts walking toward the door, tapping the cane every few steps, like to get a bearing on where he is.
Mm-hmm. Would you Like me ahead or behind you? Or beside?
Beside, I suppose.
Just so you know where I am and all that. But all right.
Yes. Walks downstairs. Roll a quick perception. I want to see if he spots this.
Boy, oh boy. Come on, Craigory.
Come on, Craigory. Hey!
Hey! Not 100. Here we go. That's the correct typing. 19.
Nice! Okay, just spot it. The tips of Decimal's ears have gone red, kind of a little embarrassed.
Oops. Oh well.
Walks downstairs with Craigory, heads outside, pauses for a moment, squinting a bit to try and get his eyes to focus before giving up the ghost, just turning to Craigory like, if I move 10 feet forward, is there anything breakable within 10 feet of me?
There is not.
Cool. Get out that radius.
Ah, okay. Craigory gets out of that radius and then some.
Yeah, okay. So, nothing happens immediately. And then Decimal taps his cane against the ground, and there is a flurry of red energy that just poof out, engulfing that 10-foot radius space. And then when it recedes, he's gone until he clears his throat and he's teleported behind you.
And Craigory jumps. Limbs failing and just kind of throws himself a few steps back. So you can sleep and you can teleport?
Only once a day, I suspect.
I mean, thank God for that. I guess you would be far too powerful otherwise. Jeez.
Oh, I suspect once I get more used to it, I'll be able to do it more often, but only... Out of character, this is a once per rest ability. He gets it back on a short or a long rest. Assume that he says words like that make sense in universe without the mechanics of D&D.
Makes perfect sense. All right, okay. Well, that gets fun.
And as far as I can tell, it has an effective radius of about 120 feet. That's about as far as I can get.
I mean, more effective than Misty Step's 30. There you go.
True, but you can repeatedly use that. It's a spell.
Well, pros and cons to both.
Well, I suppose one pro from that particular ability is that I don't think it can be counterspelled. So, should I ever need to run from the thrall again, at least I have that up my sleeve.
Excellent. They're not that fast, so 120-foot lead definitely puts you at advantage. Just keep it up and don't fail. Keep your mind clear. That honestly will help you a long, long, long way.
Mm. Of course, it wouldn't... They have some form of teleportation magic as well. They appeared directly in front of me on the rooftop.
I think they used it also when right, that's a thing. I went back.
You went back?
They had someone else. And I know the layout.
Oh dear.
I couldn't not go. But as you can see, clearly things are fine. We got out. Things are hazy towards the end because they, of course, eventually cottoned on, and I wasn't sensing much other than just anger, pain. But I think they must have used the same thing to catch up with us right at the end. Because it doesn't make sense otherwise for them to have almost gotten us right at the end.
Well, you're the wizard. I don't know a whole lot much about magic, but...
Dimension door, probably, but, you know...
That name in itself sounds ominous.
Everything about them is ominous.
That's very true. I do have to concede that point.
They're not attuned, but they have the atmosphere down.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it sounds like they've been here long enough that they've got some tricks down.
And my question is, if they've been here so long, why are they only just now getting noticed? Why is the shatter point forming only now?
Maybe they've made a mistake. Too much all at once, too fast, too soon. Hubris? They keep on... I mean, at this point, adding your experience onto the belt, things just keep on stacking up.
There's more to come. I can tell that much.
Oh, great.
That's the other thing. Turns out, while I am a kind of passive generator of chaos, I can also sense it. I'm not a seer. I can't predict events. I can give some kind of hint with my cards, but nothing concrete. But I can tell that there is more coming. There is a shatter point of chaos forming in the future. And I'm not quite sure what is going to be the inciting event.
All right, good to know. Just, okay. Just means we can try and prepare for it, right? Just, making me very extra glad that there's a bit of a way to counteract the whole pact thing, somewhat.
I can ask Peace and Rosetta about that if you want me to.
Don't know what they'd be able to do, but why not?
Well, Peace is very fucking old. Maybe they'll know something.
Maybe. If you ask, let me know anything that comes of that.
Yes.
This... Alright, this has all been heavy. I don't suppose you know if there's any of March's baking or cookies that we can steal upstairs.
Oh, most certainly. March has, if I were crueler, I would call it an addiction, but I'm one of the ones reaping the benefits, so I'm not really going to say anything derogatory about it. But yes, there's almost certainly some baking we can take.
Excellent. I'm in the mood for theft. And Craigory's just going to start back in.
Yep, Decimal's gonna follow.
It's time to raid the pantry.
just said when Craigory said, I'm in the mood for theft, it's not really thievery if you've been given permission to take it, but he didn't want to burst Craigory's bubble.
Craigory has not himself received express permission.
Loopholes.
Loopholes.
Yeah. Unless there's anything else to add, I think we can zoom out
I think so.
there, because we've been going for almost 2 hours. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
God. There was a lot for them both to talk about.
Yeah, they both
This
had a lot
FPS
of things
has
to
been
say.
building for a long time. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Uh,
Good golly goshness.
all right. With that, I think I'm going to stop my recording. Thank you for listening, everybody.
Hell yeah.
Thanks
to those of you in attendance right now. Thanks to those of you in attendance in the future.
Yep.
Uh,
I know.
See ya.